have you ever said to yourself, what's with that guy? The person you run into and you just can't get along, they're annoying, and has it ever been said about you? Why are you the way you are? Well, there's two basic reasons you are the way you are. The first one is DNA, and the second one is the way you were raised. Let's talk a little bit more about that. DNA is a pretty simple one. Mom and dad came together, they might have had some wine, one thing led to another, 9 months later, there you were. And you were wired in a certain way. And some of us we're all wired for basic things, but some of us are wired to run fast, some of us are wired to do math, some of us are wired to sing. You get the idea. We all have natural aptitudes that we're good at or not so good at. So if you were a computer, that would be your hardware. But then there's a mama's house story. It's the world you grew up in, and more importantly, that house you grew up in. And as my friend Sharon says, she says, oh, Wally, my parents put the word fun in dysfunctional. Right? In other words, those couple of years of our lives may have been really good, may not be so good, but if you were a computer, I would call that software. It's your programming. So why are you the way you are? It's your hardware and your software coming together and coming out. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, of course, and if we simplify this, it's the classic debate of nature versus nurture. And you will get people arguing on both sides of this, but really there's no argument. It's both. Your wiring absolutely determines a little bit of who you're going to be. I don't know if you can tell on the screen, but I am not 6'3". In fact, I was the leprechaun at the University of Notre Dame. Leprechauns are not 6'3". In fact, there's a height requirement, or a lack of height requirement to be the mascot of the University of Notre Dame, but that's a different story where I hit my head. But anyway, there's, I'm never going to be a basketball player. I'm not wired to do that. Now speaking, that I can do. And then there's the mama's house story, right? How were you brought up? The world you were brought up in. And beyond mama's house, there's also this generations at work thing, that the world that you grew up in absolutely shapes why you do what you do. So the world I grew up in is significantly different than the world my children are growing up in. And I can see that in the things that they hold as important, in how they view society and societal issues and those kinds of things. So why are you the way you are? It's a nature and nurture conversation. Now, all that does is create in you a set of beliefs. We might call them values, we might call them motivators, but that wiring and programming causes you to think a certain way. That's what causes you to do what you do. See, what I see from you is your behavior. I see how you act. I see what you do. However, I don't know why you do what you do, but why you do what you do is based on how you think, what your values are, which are based on your wiring and your upbringing. So the next time you're interacting with somebody and thinking, what is up with that guy? Well, it might be a mama's house story. It just might be that they came from a different place than you came from. It doesn't make them better or worse than you. And in fact, what we're trying to do is figure out how can we all get along. But when we start doing the what's up with that guy conversation, that becomes judging, and it doesn't get us in the right place. So a little bit of empathy, a little bit of understanding of others, and thinking, hey, that could be a mama's house story on why that person is the way they are. And oh, by the way, your mama's house story is in you too, for good and bad. So think about that the next time you're interacting with some folks.